You're watching Live and New, your weekly live and new music update. Now let's take a look at this week's new music. Delta Goodrem is back. It's good to see she's returned to being Delta and moved away from that Tori Amos impersonator that she did on the last record. This is back to Delta you knew from Innocent Eyes, only more grown up. Rogue Trader's Better in the Dark is well worth a listen. There's a lot of interest in this act from the USA. You would have probably already heard the first single, Don't You Want to Feel? This is an excellent follow-up to last year's Here Comes the Drums. Serge Tankian has stepped out solo from System of a Down for the one-off solo record. Of course, it's all about politics and completely anti-Bush, so we love it. The Eagles are back on the road and back with their first new album in 28 years. Long Road Out of Eden is a 20-track 2-CD set, and if you love the old Eagles, this album is a must. Despite a 28-year-old gap, it's like they've just picked up where they left off. Neil Young has a new record out. Chrome Dreams 2 is the sequel to the unreleased album from the 70s. You may never have heard Chrome Dreams, it never came out, but at least you can now enjoy the follow-up. The record covers all of Neil's multiple personalities with a band made up of members from his previous bands. Coming up over the next couple of weeks, the Veronicas will return in November with their second album, Hook Me Up. Kylie Minogue is preparing for her 10th studio album, which is titled X. What is weird about this one is that she called the 10th album X, the Roman numeral for 10, but the album is being released the same week as the 10th anniversary of the death of Michael Hutchence, Kylie's ex-boyfriend. Am I reading too much into that? I wonder. Tanya Doko and Erwin Thomas, She Said Yes, and they've had enormous success with numerous other bands in the past. Tanya, Bachelor Girl, Erwin out front of Southern Sons, and you know, you've had a collection of greatest hits between the two of you. I'm guessing there's probably quite a few awards hanging around the house as well. You know, like looking now at being in the independent world of music compared to being part of a major record label. If some new act came up to you and recommended, do I sign with a major or do I do it indie, what would your answer be to that?
Whoa, it's a great question. It depends what they're offering.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's a question of, you know, being true to you and staying in integrity. And regardless, you need bucks to make a great record, although you don't need as many as you once needed.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the bucks, you need them to get names on your record. Mm-hmm. You know, when you want to get someone to mix your record that mixed, you know, Duran Duran's record.
Right.
Or, you know, I mean, that's where you really, you know, kind of need, I mean, there's great engineers out there. There's, you know, there's great guys producing records that no one knows who they are. And I think that's probably conversely, the other side of the independent thing is that you've got all this great music coming out that unless you're actively looking for it, it's hard to find. You know, that's where the majors seem to kind of, you know, have a leg up in the market penetration, you know, side of things.
Yes.
But on the artistic side, without a doubt, you know, I'd say go indie. You know, make your own records, make the music that you want to make, live in an inspired existence, you know, and then you know, if a major picks you up because they love what you do and they don't want to change you, then, you know, you're in good stead to kind of, you know, have a career.
And it's a much more authentic way of making music. I mean, I know, like with Bachelor Girl, as much as it was authentic, like James and I wrote songs together and loved it, but it was very much born out of the studio. Whereas the motto of this band now is to play live and sell the EP and forthcoming album live. And that may mean that we don't chart, but you know, we're playing, we're getting the music out there. I don't think we're adverse to the major record deals, but it has to feel right. You know, they have to share your values, share the vision, get the music, and if they offer a fabulous marketing strategy, let's talk.
Well, I guess She Said Yes is, I guess, riding the wave of the seismic shift that's out there in the music industry at the moment. You know, and coming in the last couple of weeks, we've heard about Radiohead, we've heard about Madonna. They're both independent acts now.
Right.
Darren Hayes, who you're out on tour with at the moment, is an independent act.
Yes.
I guess, you know, being independent, does that give you a lot more creative output to do what you want and a lot more freedom to do what you like?
Well, that's one of the pros, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why didn't have, you know, people breathing down my neck about what, you know, water this down and remix that and remix that. It's just, as again, you know, we're a team, and certainly the mixes came a long way, but it didn't take 2-3 years by the time, you know, like the songs were conceived to release date. And yeah, I think it's awesome that you can actually ultimately make your own choices.
And you can get out there with a couple of other bands as well, like you're doing
that's the
Electric
thing that
Mary
I find
as well.
exciting. It allows you to be a more active member in the music community. You may not be a more active member publicly or commercially, but you get to keep working. I mean, as an independent artist, you could make, I mean, really, you could make 4 EPs a year if you wanted to. Now, you know, and you can work with other people, and you can have this really sort of rich life, you know, artistically. You know, you can keep yourself fresh, you can work with your mates, you can go on tour with your mates, and you can go on tour with your other mates, and, you know, and I mean, I love that. And when you're locked into a, you know, to a major deal, you're in a queue with, you know, all these other artists that want to release their record, and then, you know, if you're halfway through your record and it's not really quite right, you need to make adjustments to it. Well, you've got to get it ready, because it has to be out, because the company's got to make budget, you know, or someone's going to get fired, or, you know, so I think, you know, and conversely on the other side, you know, once your record's out, you're then in a queue again to when you can, you know, how long you've got to promote it to you know, to when you can start writing for your next record. And
there's a lot of pressure if it doesn't chart well the first week as well.
So,
whereas this is a bit more like the way in which we're doing this. You can create a buzz and allow it to grow slowly.
Organically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the EP's out there at the moment for She Said Yes. Do you go down the album route for 2008, or is it a series of solo songs that people can download?
All of the above. The plan is to release the entire album by the end of the first quarter next year, and I'll be looking at distribution at that point. And yeah, I mean, it'll also be available on iTunes, etc., in due course.